I still remember exactly where I was when I got the message. Wednesday afternoon, just after 2. I was elbow deep in debugging some god-awful legacy code for a fintech client when my phone buzzed. It was from Alina. "I need to take a break. Please don't contact me for a while. I'm overwhelmed by everything and I need to figure myself out." That was it. No punctuation besides the period at the end. No heart emoji, no soft apology. Just a clean, cold request for space. "My name's Eric. I'm 32, living just outside of Seattle, in a 2-bedroom condo with a view of the lake. I'm a senior software engineer for a mid-sized firm. Nothing flashy, but solid. Stable. At least I thought I was. Alina and I had been together for 3 years. We met at a mutual friend's ugly sweater party. She wore a Star Wars sweatshirt that said, 'Come to the merry side.' I asked if she actually liked Star Wars. She said no, she just liked irony. I liked her immediately. We moved in together about 6 months after dating. She said my place had restorative energy. She lit sage on Sundays and kept a gratitude journal that she never let me read. She drank oat milk lattes and made 5-year vision boards. That stuff wasn't really me, but it became part of my life anyway. So when she sent that message, just dropped it in the middle of a workday like it was nothing, I stared at the screen for a long time. Not angry, just confused. I texted back, "Okay, I respect that. Take the time you need." And that was that. I didn't double text. I didn't call. I didn't try to twist it into something it wasn't. I figured maybe she was going through something. A work burnout, maybe. She was a consultant, one of those high-stress firms that preaches balance while emailing you at midnight. Maybe she needed time. But that night, when I came home to the apartment we'd shared for nearly 2 years, our books still stacked together, her yoga mat rolled up under the couch, her favorite hoodie draped over the chair, something started to ache in the back of my chest. It didn't feel like confusion. It felt like something else. I sat on the balcony with a beer, staring out at the water, trying not to imagine what figuring herself out looked like. Maybe I was paranoid. Or maybe I'd just been blindsided by someone I trusted completely. At the time, I didn't even consider the possibility of infidelity. It didn't even cross my mind. But the silence, the sudden shift, something was wrong. I just didn't know how wrong yet. About a week after the break message, I was doing what every dumped guy does during a self-imposed exile, doom-scrolling Instagram in sweatpants. It was late, close to midnight, and I was half watching a Twitch stream when I saw it. A notification in the corner of my screen. "Your friend Emily tagged someone in a story." I almost didn't click. I figured it was another photo of her dog in a sweater or some inspirational quote plastered over beach sand. But then I saw Alina's username, and a location tag, Tuscany, Italy, that pulled me out of my chair. The story was just a few seconds long. A slow pan of a vineyard, warm sunlight, green rows stretching into the hills. And there they were, Alina and Lawrence, walking hand in hand like something out of a lifestyle magazine. Lawrence, her mentor, the guy she always called my work dad, in that tone that implied it was a harmless joke. I'd met him once at a holiday party. Tall, confident, married. The type who wore loafers with no socks and casually dropped phrases like, "My house in Jackson Hole." I stared at the screen, my jaw tight. Alina was laughing, her hair back in a silk scarf, sunglasses perched perfectly on her nose. The caption read, "Mentorship Magic Wineglass #Italian Escape. Mentorship." The next slide hit harder. A table at golden hour. Twinkling string lights overhead. A bottle of red wine half drunk. 2 glasses. Lawrence leaning toward her, hand grazing her knee, her fingers already resting on his. His wedding ring still on. The timestamp? The day after she asked for space. The day after. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Not out of rage. Not even betrayal. Just stunned clarity. It wasn't confusion. It wasn't her needing space. She was already gone before she hit send. I clicked through the rest of the story like I was watching a train crash in slow motion. Picnics. Local wine tours. Her face nestled into his shoulder as they posed for a selfie. My phone buzzed. Emily had tagged me too, probably by accident. That's the only reason I saw it. I sat back and stared at the ceiling for a long time. The apartment felt different now. The books we picked out together. The dumb live, laugh, latte mug she left in the sink. The little basil plant by the window I kept watering even though it was already dead. 3 years together. I thought we were building something. Turns out she was just looking for the next upgrade. And Lawrence? He had a wife, Miriam. I remembered her name because Alina used to say she had terrible taste in throw pillows. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. But something inside me calcified. Hardened. It was like I'd been dropped into cold water. No more guessing. No more wondering if I had done something wrong. She didn't leave because she was overwhelmed. She left because Tuscany was calling. And so was her boss. And now? Now it was my turn to respond. Not with tears. With precision. 2 mornings after the Tuscany discovery, I made coffee without tasting it and opened LinkedIn. Not Instagram. Not Twitter. LinkedIn. That's where they lived professionally. That's where they polished their images with phrases like thought leader and strategic clarity and investing in people. That's where they wore their masks. And I was done letting them keep them on. I spent an hour putting everything together. Screenshots from Emily's story. Close-up of the hand-holding. The dinner under the lights. The tag geolocation. The dates cleanly overlapping with the start of the break. I didn't write a rant. I didn't unload my feelings. I wrote 1 paragraph. Just 1. Clean. Precise. Brutal. Then I attached the photos. Respecting boundaries and finding clarity together, apparently. Miriam, you might want to see how your husband invests in mentorship. I tagged them both. Lawrence Bennett, CEO at Holbrook Consulting Group. Miriam Bennett, realtor, mother, and clearly unaware wife. Alina Ramos, consultant, strategist, and apparently very confused. I hovered over post for a second. Just 1. Then I clicked. It went live at 9:17 a.m. By 9:30, my inbox was flooding. The first message was from Lawrence. Eric, please delete the post. Call me. It's not what it looks like. Right? The next was Alina. Voicemail, 1 minute, 32 seconds. Her voice was frantic. Eric, oh my God, what did you do? You're blowing everything up over 1 misunderstanding. Please, can we just talk? Please don't do this. This isn't fair, this isn't you. She was crying near the end. Then came the texts. From people I hadn't spoken to in months. From coworkers of hers. People I barely knew from the consulting world. A couple I had met once at a firm happy hour. Holy shit, dude. Is this real? Lawrence? Respect for not losing your mind. This is savage. The post was spreading like fire. I didn't go viral exactly, no trending tags, but within the tech consulting bubble of Seattle, it was enough. Enough for it to matter. I didn't respond to any messages. I didn't take calls. I just refreshed the page and watched the ripple. A comment from someone I didn't know. Hard to mentor with your hand on someone else's thigh. Another. Hope HR at Holbrook is having a productive morning. By 10 a.m., the post had over 700 views. Comments were stacking. DMs pouring in. And then, like clockwork, came the panic spiral. Alina's friend Tessa, the one who always acted like she was too enlightened for gossip, messaged me directly. Eric, please take it down. You're hurting people. You're better than this. Better? I didn't lie. I didn't twist facts. I just held up the mirror. By 10:20, Miriam had commented. 1 sentence. Thank you for the clarity, Eric. That's when I knew the grenade had landed. I shut my laptop, leaned back, and took a long breath. The apartment was still quiet. The lake outside still as glass. But something had shifted. Not in the world, just in me. I had always been the steady one. The patient one. The builder. The guy who tried to understand. But now? Now I was done building bridges for people who danced across them straight into someone else's bed. They wanted to play dirty? Fine. I would play clean. But I would make it hurt. By the time I got back from my lunch walk, I had 13 missed calls. 4 were from Alina. 2 from Lawrence. The rest were an assortment of people I hadn't heard from in ages. Tessa again, some guy named Max who I barely remembered from their firm, and a random number that I figured was either a burner or Miriam herself. I didn't answer any of them. Then Lawrence finally left a voicemail. His voice had that false calm people use when they're trying not to scream. Eric, listen. I know how this looks. But Alina told me you two were on a break. That you knew. That you were okay with us spending time together. If you had a problem, you should have come to me directly. Please take the post down. We're all adults here, let's fix this without ruining people's lives. I stared at my phone, stunned for a second. That's what he was going with? I was okay with it? Like I gave my blessing for a couple's getaway the same day she ghosted me. Then came the text from Alina herself. I didn't think you'd be this cruel. You always said you were the calm one. You said you'd never humiliate me. Please don't make this worse. 10 minutes later, a second text. I made a mistake, okay? But you airing this out online, it's low, Eric. You've always been better than this. Please take it down. I'll talk to Lawrence. I'll fix it. And then the voicemails started. 3 in a row. First one, angry. You are such a vindictive piece of shit, Eric. What are you getting out of this? Do you feel powerful now? Ruining lives? Grow the hell up. Second one, sobbing. I'm sorry, okay? I panicked. I didn't know what I was doing. Please call me back. Please. Third one, bargaining. I'll come over. We can talk face to face. I just want to fix this. I know I hurt you. I know I lied. But we had something real, didn't we? Let me make it right. I blocked her number after that. Not out of anger. Just peace. Then Tessa chimed in again, this time with a long-winded DM that started with, I'm not picking sides, and ended with, this is spiteful and beneath you. Beneath me? I didn't post a lie. I didn't spread rumors. I showed the truth. And suddenly I was the problem? That was the game with people like them. They could lie to your face, cheat behind your back, and the second you refuse to stay quiet, you're the bitter ex, the unstable one, the dramatic man. But not this time. Not me. I closed the app, sat on the edge of the bed we used to share, and just breathed. 3 years with her. And somehow I still felt more sane now than I had in months. Let them spiral. Let them beg. Let them play damage control. Me? I was done. It was a Saturday afternoon when it happened. I was making a sandwich and watching a YouTube video on how to fix the wobbly cabinet door when I heard the buzzer. I checked the camera feed on the lobby screen by the door. It was Alina. She looked like she hadn't slept in days, sweatshirt, no makeup, hair in a messy knot that said she'd stopped caring who saw her. She was pacing in front of the building, clutching her phone in one hand, her old apartment key in the other. I didn't answer. She buzzed again. Then again. I watched her start talking to someone off-screen. Another woman walked into frame, her sister, Naomi. Always the enabler. Always the one who thought Alina could do no wrong. A few minutes later, a third woman joined them. Her mother. Of course. They walked up to the building door together, and that's when I heard it. Pounding. Not knocking, pounding. Like they were trying to break in through sheer will. I kept the security camera feed open on my phone and watched from the living room. They didn't know I was watching. Alina tried the key. It didn't work. I had changed the locks the day after she left. She stepped back and shouted, Eric. I know you're in there. Open the damn door. Her mom chimed in, trying for calm. Eric, honey, we just want to talk. Then Naomi yelled, you're being cruel. She lived here. She has a right to come in. No, she didn't. Legally? I checked. Her name was never on the lease. Her mail didn't even come here anymore. She had moved her address to her own studio weeks before this all happened. They had no right. But that didn't stop them from turning the whole thing into a circus. The shouting escalated. Naomi started banging on the glass. Alina was crying now, sobbing into her hands, then suddenly screaming, I gave you everything. You're really doing this to me. I watched them from behind the blinds, sipping my soda like it was a movie. Then I saw the neighbors start to gather. Mr. Delaney from 3B poked his head out. The girl from 2A stood on her balcony with her phone, definitely recording. Someone across the hall opened their door, looked around, and went back in. The whole floor knew. And I didn't have to say a word. Alina's mom pointed at the camera. You think this makes you look good? You think humiliating her like this will make you feel better? I didn't answer. I just turned off the intercom and watched them melt down in real time. Eventually, they gave up. Naomi walked off first, muttering something to Alina. Her mom followed, clearly embarrassed. And Alina? She stood at the door for another minute, one hand on the glass, breathing heavy. Then she finally turned around. When the door clicked shut behind her, I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. They thought they could barge back in. But they forgot who locked the door. I knew they wouldn't go away quietly. Alina had too much pride and Lawrence had too much to lose. The Instagram exposure wasn't the end, it was just the first crack in the dam. The flood came next. It started with a concerned email to HR at my company. Anonymous, of course. Subject line, regarding employee Eric Dawson, mental health and professional conduct. They claimed I had a history of emotional instability, that I was harassing a former romantic partner online, and that I might be creating a toxic environment for coworkers. They even attached a link to the LinkedIn post and a screenshot of one of the comments underneath. Yikes, this guy snapped. I read the email twice, then forwarded it straight to my manager and said, let's chat. I scheduled the meeting myself. The next day, I sat down with HR and laid it all out calm, direct, surgical. I recently ended a relationship after discovering an affair, I said. Everything I posted was true. I have evidence. Screenshots, dates, timestamps. I've made no further public comments and I've blocked everyone involved. Then I opened an email I had received that morning. It was from Miriam Bennett, Lawrence's wife. Thank you, it read, for showing me what I needed to see. I'm filing for divorce. If you ever need a statement, you have it. I'm sorry for what she did to you. I showed the message to HR. They didn't even blink. Thanks, Eric, my manager said. We'll document it. Sounds like you handled this professionally. That was that. I walked out of the meeting with my shoulders lighter. I hadn't lost my temper. I hadn't stooped to their level. But I knew they weren't done. Over the next few days, I heard whispers from people in our mutual circles. Alina was playing the victim card. Hard. She told people I was controlling. That I didn't support her career. That I was emotionally distant and didn't communicate her love language. One of her friends, Melanie, who had never liked me much, posted a vague story with the words, some people weaponize truth when they can't handle rejection. Stay strong, girl. Cute. I ignored it all. But a few people reached out in private, coworkers, acquaintances, even two of Alina's former colleagues. Hey man, I saw the post. Just wanted to say, I believe you. She did the same thing to my friend. Jumped from one mentor to another. Honestly, I always wondered how Lawrence got away with so much. Maybe not anymore. That last one stuck with me. I didn't care about revenge. I didn't need applause. But I cared about truth. And now it was spreading. Alina's PR spin was starting to unravel. The people who knew her best, the ones who had seen the patterns, weren't falling for it this time. And the more she tried to paint me as unstable, the more stable I stayed. No angry tweets. No clapbacks. Just silence. It drove them crazy. By the end of the week, the firm she worked for removed her from their website. Quietly. No announcement. Just gone. I bookmarked the page anyway. Not out of spite. Just so I could remember what calm, steady accountability looked like. By the second week of fallout, my phone had finally stopped buzzing. No more sobbing voicemails from Alina. No more lawyer speak from Lawrence. But I knew better than to assume it was over. When manipulative people go quiet, it's not peace, it's strategy. So I called my lawyer. Her name was Dana. We'd worked together before when I bought the condo, and she had this calm, no-nonsense way of speaking that made everything sound manageable even when it wasn't. I need protection, I told her. No drama. Just boundaries. Within 2 days, Dana had cease and desist letters drafted and sent. One to Alina. One to her sister. One to her mother. And one to Lawrence. Each letter was simple and clean. Do not contact Eric Dawson by phone, text, email, or in person. Any future communication must go through legal channels. I had them hand-delivered. Not emailed. Not mailed. Delivered. So they'd have to sign for it. The next day, I got one final message from Alina through Dana. Apparently, she now believed she was entitled to reimbursement for her emotional labor and contributions to the household. She claimed she had supported me through my career spiritually, helped keep my space organized, and that she'd like a fair settlement for her time. Dana read the email out loud, then looked at me with one eyebrow raised. Emotional labor, she said flatly. Cute. I didn't even have to respond. Dana fired back a formal rejection that could have sliced diamonds. Ms. Ramos was not on the lease. She paid no rent. She made no documented financial contributions. Her spiritual support, though appreciated, holds no legal currency. Then she included a paragraph offering Alina a single, final opportunity to retrieve her belongings via a licensed third-party moving service, no contact with me, and no entry into the apartment. The concierge would oversee the exchange. I boxed everything myself. Every scarf. Every coffee table book about mindfulness. Every half-burned candle and roll of eco-friendly paper towels. I labeled each box clearly and stacked them near the front desk. She never showed up. Her sister did. Naomi arrived in sunglasses and silence, said nothing to the concierge, and signed the release form with a sharp, irritated flick of the pen. I watched the whole thing on the lobby camera feed. The boxes fit perfectly into her back seat. She didn't look up once. It was the cleanest break I could have hoped for. No yelling. No bargaining. No tears. Just a transaction. A final line drawn. After the boxes were gone, I opened every window in the apartment. Let the breeze in. Cleared out the lingering smell of Alina's sandalwood diffuser and self-help podcasts. I wasn't bitter. I was prepared. People like her don't want resolution, they want reaction. They feed off chaos. Off drama. Off doorsteps and phone calls and teary breakdowns. But I didn't give her any of that. I gave her policy. I gave her law. I gave her what she truly couldn't stand. Silence. 2 weeks after the LinkedIn post went live, I got a Google alert for Lawrence's name. Executive leave at Holbrook Consulting amid ethics investigation. It wasn't front-page news, but in the business community, it was enough. Holbrook wasn't some scrappy startup, it was a respected mid-size firm with Fortune 500 clients and a reputation for values-driven leadership. Now their CEO was suddenly on leave and sources were whispering about inappropriate relationships, misuse of company resources, and personal conduct unbecoming of leadership. Translation, he got sloppy and someone finally said it out loud. According to a comment I saw on an industry forum, the Tuscany trip had been partly expensed as a business mentorship retreat. And Alina? She had listed it in her internal report as executive shadowing. They really thought no one would check the photos. Miriam didn't just file for divorce, she gave an interview to a niche legal blog about professional betrayal and the illusion of corporate integrity. She didn't name Alina directly, but she quoted the caption word for word. Respecting boundaries and finding clarity together. The comments section lit up. By the end of the week, Lawrence's leave became indefinite. Alina didn't fare much better. Her consultancy firm scrubbed her profile off their website. One of her team leads quietly unfollowed her on every platform. Tessa, who had been so loud in her defense before, posted a cryptic tweet. Some hills are not worth dying on. Some people are not worth defending. The message was clear. Alina wasn't just radioactive, she was officially out. I didn't reach out. I didn't celebrate. But I watched. It wasn't revenge. It was recognition. People saw her now for what she really was. Not the overworked consultant looking for clarity. Not the spiritual empath who burned sage and read Rumi. Just another opportunist who thought consequences didn't apply to her. A mutual friend told me she moved back in with her mom in Bellingham. That she was taking some time to recalibrate. That most of her friend group had quietly distanced themselves once the truth came out. The same truth she had tried to drown in half-truths and manipulated narratives. One by one, the doors she used to walk through started closing. Lawrence's house was up for sale within the month. The firm replaced him with a stern-faced interim CEO whose first public statement was about rebuilding trust. Poetic. For years, they'd operated like they were untouchable, drifting through boardrooms and client dinners with charming smiles and just enough ambiguity to get away with everything. But clarity? Clarity is sharp. And once you shine a light on the truth, it gets harder for people to pretend they don't see it. They had tried to build a future on deception. Now they were standing in the rubble of it. The day after I heard Alina moved out of the city, I took down the framed photo we kept in the hallway. The one from last fall, her in a flannel, me with that goofy pumpkin spice latte, both of us grinning like everything made sense. I didn't smash it. I didn't even toss it. I just removed the photo, slid it into a folder, and stuck it in a drawer I'd eventually forget about. Then I started making changes. Nothing dramatic, no new man, makeover, or bold spiritual epiphany. Just small, quiet shifts. I got rid of her gray woven throw that she insisted balanced the emotional tone of the room. Replaced it with a deep green one I actually liked. Swapped out her minimalist art prints with some black and white photos of cities I've visited. Took the vision board she left behind and fed it through the shredder without a second thought. The basil plant she always said had healing energy? Dead, obviously. Tossed it, pot and all. I boxed up every trace of her and left it at the concierge desk weeks ago. But the apartment still had that faint echo of her scent, her playlists, the soft lavender light bulbs she insisted were easier on the nervous system. So I replaced every single one. I deep cleaned the place for no one but myself. Played my music loud again, actual music, not that acoustic cover nonsense she liked. Cooked meals that didn't involve quinoa. Sat on the couch with a beer and didn't feel like I had to talk about intentional breathing. And for the first time in what felt like years, I slept. Really slept. No tossing, no waking up to check if I'd missed a text. There were no texts. Alina never tried to reach out again, not after the legal letter, not after her fall from grace. But her absence didn't mean quiet. 3 times, distant relatives of hers sent messages. One from a cousin I met once at a wedding. Hey Eric, I don't know what happened, but I hope you find it in your heart to forgive her. She's been through a lot. Another one from some uncle who said I should consider giving her a chance to explain. I didn't open the third. I didn't respond to any of them. Forgiveness wasn't the issue. Access was. She had already explained everything I needed to know. With her actions. With her silence. With a plane ticket to Tuscany booked before she even walked out the door. I wasn't angry anymore. I was fine. The kind of fine that doesn't need to be performed or defended. Just quiet, grounded peace. A few nights ago, I sat on the balcony with a coffee and opened up the dating app one hadn't touched in over a year. My profile was still there, old photos, half-hearted bio. I deleted everything and started fresh. I added one line to the top. No drama. Just dignity. That's who I am now. Not the guy she broke. The guy she underestimated.